Welcome to Hey Other Parents. In this episode, we welcome the show, talk about things that no one tells you about being a parent, and more. I'm Michael Heit.
I'm Sara D.
I'm Mike Levine.
Kids don't come with a handbook, so we need your help.
Where do babies come from?
Where do you think they come from?
Is this a kissing book?
Mama! Mama!
What?
Hi.
I learned it by watching you. There are no rules in this house. Not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
We sent them to the best boarding schools. We hired the best nannies. We did everything right.
Hey, Mom! The meatloaf!
No drinking, no drugs, no kissing, no tattoos, no piercings, no ritual animal slaughters of any kind.
Together, we can rule the galaxy as father and son.
This is Hey Other Parents, an honest, messy, imperfect show for raising kids.
I'm Michael Heit. Welcome back to Hey Other Parents, our show where we seek crowdsourced advice for figuring out how to actually raise kids. Because we never got a handbook with our kids from the hospital, so it's three of us and all of you. It's an honest, messy, imperfect show for parents, adults, uncles, aunts, caregivers, those expecting, adoptees, grandparents, or babysitters. But I'm not alone. I have two amazing co-hosts on this voyage. Whether she's cooking TikTok recipes with her daughter, collecting Pokemon with her son, taking care of her dogs, or spending time with a family at the movies for a little horror scare, Sara D, hello.
Hello.
Hello, from the sands of Tatooine, never too busy to raise his Padawans and get the occasional bad nail polish by his girls, Mike Levine, hello.
What's up, everybody? Mike Levine here. How you guys doing?
I am thoroughly excited. So, okay, before we jump in, I am like, it's, you know how like, oh man, this is weird. You know how like you're like really good friends with people, but like you don't always have like the people that you're friends with together in one space? Like yes. This is amazing because like now we are finally, the three of us are doing this thing. And like it's funny because like I know you both so well, but you guys are just going to get to know each other a little bit better. And I'm really excited about that. So enough of that. So on the side of that, this show here is something a little bit different. When I'm not going off on tangents, we're going to be setting up our Patreon where you can help support the show and allow us to keep making shows like this. But we're going to do something a little bit different where people that support the show will get access to an extra episode each month, whether that's us watching a show together, reading a book, talking about a bunch of random topics, or going deeper into something. We want to kind of donate our time for the people that are helping the show with that. We're going to tell you more about that in the next upcoming weeks to come. But in the meantime, if you want to take a little peek, it's at patreon.com/heyotherparents. All right, so this is our first episode of our new show. To get started, I am super excited to have the three of us together in one spot. But to give you a little bit of history, because not everybody listened to our food thing, but back in 2018, we started this show called Food and Fury. So we created this show with the idea that like everyone could cook, really anyone could cook, as long as, had some confidence and had some dishes that kind of made sense and taught you some stuff. I probably watched Ratatouille before I talked to you, Mike, and then that's probably what happened. But anyway, so we thought we would, so we had this show, and then Mike had some family obligations come up halfway through the show, and that demanded his attention. And then Sara was amazing, and then she jumped in. And I'm not saying, which host was better, because that would be wrong, but you guys are both beautiful. And then, then Sara and I kept it going for another 25 or so episodes. And then life happened, had the third kid, surprisingly difficult to podcast at that point. And just about everything else, not to get too inspiring about becoming a parent. But we kept our friendship alive, and we knew that we would be back on the microphone at some point. And here we are, because at that time, we didn't just talk about food. We talked about all kinds of stuff. We kind of leaned on each other as friends. We sought out parenting advice, and just like, whether it be a shoulder to cry on or a situation that just, talking it out. We realized at the time that besides a bowl of ramen that, maybe talking about kids and how we raise them and all that good stuff, maybe that might be a cool idea for our podcast. So we're really excited to talk about the show. And just real fast about me, since we were on the microphone last, my 6-year-old is now an 11-year-old. So I have an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and they are all so very different. They're all boys, but they each have their own things. And, for the longest time, my middle guy, I think, was put on this planet to make the older one cry. And although that does seem like a thing when you have the third one, now his job, the 4-year-old, is really here to take the reins. So, I have an amazing wife. She keeps everybody organized. Without her, I don't know what we would be doing. But that's my crazy family. But Mike, what about you?
Yo, what's up, my parent peeps? How's it going? It's good to be back, Mike. Like you said, when we started the show back in the day with Food and Fury, we were having a blast. And unfortunately, I did have some family obligations to take care of. But in that time frame, I wound up having 3 children. So
it sounds like you just vanished. And then like you pop back and I was like, hey, what's up, dude? You're like, oh, I have 3 kids now.
Yeah, you know what? It was kind of like the blip, like all of a sudden I was gone. And then here I am with 3 kids, and I have a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. And let me tell you, just like you said, your middle child is the one to make the oldest child go crazy. Well, my youngest makes them go crazy. She's a little firecracker with her red hair.
Yeah, so you've got 1 son, right? And you've got 2 daughters, right? The son is the oldest?
Yes, sir.
I make it sound like I don't know this.
Son.
I'm just trying. Yeah.
I got 1 son named Lucas, and if you hadn't known already with my love for Star Wars where that name came from, you can probably guess. Exactly. And I also got a middle daughter and a youngest daughter. And just like you, with your wife holding everything together, I wouldn't be anywhere with my wife. So, and that's a little bit about me and my family.
And Sarah D, as a wife, not that you should have the responsibility of keeping the family together. I know it to be true regardless. You are amazing. And let's just get a quick catch up with you.
All right. Well, so greetings, everyone. I have a 24-year-old niece, a 14-year-old daughter, and a 10-year-old son, and we're just a really busy family. You could pretty much catch me in the car going from one activity or another. My children all bring to the table their own personalities, which I totally adore, watching them as they grow into their own. My husband is luckily the voice of reason, because without him, I think I probably would lose my mind. But when I'm not the family Uber, I enjoy trying new recipes, listening to audiobooks, and some true crime documentaries.
Ooh, I love it.
Ooh,
so as you could tell, this is a parenting show. We all do sound a little bit discombobulated at times, but the thing of it is that it is, it's nice that we have the range of ages. We have the range of having, different combinations of kids, boys, girls, older ones, younger ones. Some of us have dogs, some of us have Roombas and starter. So we have a mix, and that I think is going to make this for an interesting situation. And as we start to get into this, we are here to clarify one thing. This is not your typical parenting podcast. This is not the experts telling you what's going on. This is not something so serious that you're looking for. You're looking for all the answers. I mean, that is maybe elsewhere. This is where we crowdsource our responses. We come up with some thoughts. We talk to each other, and maybe we make some sense of it all. But without further ado, I just have to tell you guys one thing real fast before we really jump in. As we are getting ready to record, and I'm just running around helping the family out, and we're doing laundry because it's that wonderful time of the weekend, and it's my turn. So I get Noah, my 4-year-old's laundry, start bringing upstairs, and I'm seeing red in the laundry. I'm looking at the shirt. There's a red in the shirt. There's red in the pants. There's red on the socks. There's red everywhere. So we come to the conclusion that there has been a red crown that has been dropped into the laundry. So this is right before the show. It seems like this is like fate that this is going to be the night we record. So on YouTube and Reddit and everything else, apparently you're supposed to like throw the clothes back into the washing machine with some dish soap and let it soak, and then put it on high, and hopefully the crown will melt out. And then now we're dealing with the dryer. So now I have a wet towel in the dryer with a lot of extra laundry sheets, and hopefully they scrub down and pull the wax off. So that's going on right now. But we are not here to talk about my dryer and my washing machine. We are here to talk about this show. So, all right.
I wonder if that's one of those old wife things. So, like
which one? The part about the way you fix that problem?
Yeah, where you fix it up,
Well, right now, the dryer looks like a crime scene, so hopefully that'll work itself out. With the
dryer's all red, right? Inside?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there, done that.
Oh, so see, this is good. See, who knew that we'd have a pre-topic before our topic? This is amazing. So this week we are actually going to ask a question, which is kind of, I think, a nice way to start a show. What are the things that people don't tell you about having kids? So we came up with a list. We try to come up with like some sort of comprehensive list, or a list, I should say, where we want to hear from you, and what you think of our list, if there's things that maybe we left out, and we'll tell you about how that works in a bit. So here we are at our list of the things that no one tells you about when you're becoming a parent. All right, number 1, here we go. This is probably one for me, guys, that really stands true as something that I absolutely despise. So people will say to you, typically when you're shopping or at checkout and you're in a line, they'll say, enjoy every moment because it goes by in a blink of an eye. That is, to me, like a judgy feeling that people just feel the need to kind of push on you. 2 things. 1, I don't think you need to enjoy every single moment. You're allowed to not like some of the moments, but it doesn't need to go by in a blink of an eye. You're going to enjoy time with your kids. You don't need to have other people tell you that their kids are 25 and they have a bad relationship. You are here to enjoy that time with them. Don't listen to those people because you know what? It comes from a certain place of anxiety, whatever else, and it's not healthy for you. Try and find some parents that that don't require you to be constantly feeling guarded. Try to find some like-minded adults that you feel comfortable with that can help you talk out your problems and get some support, like these 2 wonderful human beings.
I like that.
Have you guys ever had that? People come up to you and they're like, enjoy every moment?
Oh, every time.
Disgusting.
All the time.
And is it always like an older generation though? Like it's like enjoy.
Maybe it's the 3 of us, but I feel like there's something like invisible ink tattooed in our foreheads that says, please tell me crazy things. I feel like, I don't know.
Oh, I get that all the time.
Like you almost need to wear sunglasses and kind of like hide your eyes.
Like, it goes by so fast. Enjoy treasure every moment. And you're like, okay.
And you're like, as much as I'm enjoying this conversation, thank you so much.
Conversation. I have to run to the next activity, and
it's like you have a big sign on your head that says, "Oh yes, please give me your pearls of wisdom."
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Wacky advice. I really want it.
How's this for a positive one? Record a lot on your phone, whatever else. Record your kids' voices though, because it is really fun and cute to go back later and to hear the things that they say and like the words they mispronounce and their little voices. So take those videos, take those pictures, make sure you back up your phone and or make a private Instagram account for family and friends, but definitely grab a couple of those videos when they start talking, whatever else, because it's fun to go back.
You know
that I agree with.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting about it is I guess when we were younger, like, they didn't have what we have nowadays where you have like iPhones or Facebook or Instagram, whatever, that you can kind of just post for everybody to see or post for your own self, whatever. But it's just so frequent now. Like before we had those little video cameras and like, then what would you do? You'd record, your parents would record you guys and then they would put it in like, storage and you'd never see it. But like now it's just like, it's out there that you could just bring up anytime and like, oh, remember when you said the word "to"? I don't know.
But like, I mean, listen, all your Gen X, Y, Z. If you grew up like we did, you probably experienced like, maybe like somebody in your family walking around with a big like boombox size video camera, where they just took videos of like everything. And then when you look back at the videos, all they are is like birthday, Thanksgiving, people trying to figure out where they're sitting. A couple birthdays, maybe another holiday, and then back to the same thing. It's very funny to watch them. Have you watched any old videos?
Hysterical.
Right?
My dad used to have like that big camera like you put on your shoulder.
Yes.
And he like recorded like dance recitals, plays, us getting chased by the deer at the animal farm. And my mom screaming her head off as she's running away with the 2 of us under her arm.
It's like the Blair Witch Project as the camera's like bouncing along.
And my dad's like, go ahead, Carmen. He's like, oh, he's going to get you.
Go on without me.
Like, really, Dad? He's just leaving her.
We had
my
a good
mom's
run.
like 5 feet and she's like carrying 2 kids like running for her life. And we're screaming our heads off. Hysterical.
And it's so weird, like, nowadays, if you wanted to, you could just pull that up on Instagram from years ago, or wherever you store it. But like, now or back then you had to go searching through boxes to look for that tape,
I know, and then you run the risk.
Over.
I was just gonna say that. Yes, or you
if it didn't get recorded
over,
over.
like a Hootie and the Blowfish unplugged, and all of a sudden it's gone.
You guys had to pull that little tab, right? There's a tab to prevent it from being.
I just dated myself. I think I just said Hootie and the Blowfish unplugged. That's amazing.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
Darius Rucker,
I
you got me.
recorded the Michael Jackson concert. My brother taped over it. I hated him for that.
Man, that would have been.
I don't know if any of you were a middle child though, but I'm sure my tape would have been recorded over. That's for sure.
You know what? I was just waiting for you to be like, if they even remember to record in the first place.
Thanks, Mom. That's a shout out to you. Love you.
So on top
She's
of
like,
that,
ooh, Julia Childs has a new recipe on. Mike's first birthday.
I always love the Flow Beer commercial. I think I'll record over that. So what about so Mike's a middle child. I am the younger one. How about you, Sarah D?
So I'm adopted. So my brother and I are actually the same age, but 4 months difference. So he's born in April, I'm born in July.
I love it.
Oh wow, that's cool. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, so we're like twins, but not.
Twinning.
And you and your brother are I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. You and your brother
biological. Is that
biological? That's it. Yeah.
No,
that's what
we are not biological brothers and sisters, but we're adopted from the same country in Honduras in the same hospital. Yep.
Oh, cool.
Fun fact.
So number 3, I realize that this is a family-friendly podcast, so I'm going to say tag team that stuff. So tag team that stuff. So this made me think instantly of the first time we brought Jacob home from the hospital. Wait, why do I say the first time we brought him from the hospital? The time we brought him home from the hospital. And it also happened again with Ethan. But the idea is that when we first brought him home, we were like, oh, we got to we got to do it together. We got to stay up all night together. We got to this, that, and the other. And then we realized that at some point we both needed to sleep. So we needed a tag team. Yeah. We needed to, for example, I would take the, I think I would take the first shift till I think 2:00 in the morning, and then my wife would jump in from 2 to 6, whatever it was, just so I could get some sleep. And then you know what, that kind of applied. But the nice thing about that is, tag team that stuff, but make sure you guys have some time together afterwards.
I think that applies now. You got to definitely tag team everything, because one parent can't do it all. You need your partner, and you definitely need to make time for yourselves.
It seems like almost like it's like a trust there, right? Like you just kind of have to rely that the other person that you're with is doing right.
Yeah, I have to agree. We definitely tag teamed with all 3 kids. Although, I do have to say I was very nervous with the younger age. I'm in my sweet spot right now. I got my 9-year-old, I got my 7-year-old, even my almost 3-year-old. I could do this, but when they were 0 to 3, I was crazy scared.
There was that moment before they could lift their heads up, and you're holy hell. Yeah. Like that. I mean, my kids came out just big, so they were probably ready to pop their heads up and wink and point at you. But I don't know, it's stressful. So you, another one. This is a good one. Is you need to get on the same page on what you feel is important, and you got to back each other up. Don't let your kids play you against each other. You're not their friend, you're the parent. So you have to agree and set boundaries that you both feel good about. Get yourselves a family calendar. Write your stuff down. Stick to it. Try your best to teach your kids how to properly deal with some conflict. If you need to have a little throwdown with each other, try to do that, later in the evening or away from your kids. But, getting on the same page, about certain things is important, because you can't have those moments where, one person says yes, one person says no, because it's important. You got to be a unified force.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, because they will conquer and divide those kids. Let me tell you,
it's like blood in the water.
They smell the weak. The weak link. They will get. And they don't mean to. It's just their nature.
Yeah, they're just naturally sharks looking to eat you.
If you're lucky.
And you know what? It's when there's 3 of them, or more than just the 2 of you. It's. You're scared for your life sometimes.
You know what? That's funny, because we talked about this, and then I was I remember when we were, when my wife was I want a third, and I was like, I don't know, and then obviously we agreed. It wasn't whoa, surprise. No, but we love our kids, and we had the third one, and there was that moment where we're gonna be outvoted, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second, this is all we gotta do. We just give them less voting power. We're gonna be fine. So we have more votes. We have more voting power than they do. Our votes each count for 2. Their votes each count for 1, and we always win. So that's kind of how you have to do it. But joking aside, no, it is kind of crazy, because you have to make sure your boundaries are even fair, because there's always that moment, especially when you think back to your childhood, where the older sibling is has to be home by 6 p.m. and can't go out for play dates and can't do this and the other, and then the younger one rolls around, they're out till midnight and doing everything else by the time they're 7 years old. So you kind of have to be fair with your kids and make sure that you have some sort of basis for rules and that sort of thing. But I think that rules are one thing, but, you know, when it comes to getting those little babies out of the house and understanding how the world works, they need to be able to read. So I would say that something super duper important too is just read with your kids. They might be like staring at you and drooling over your arm, but if you get in the habit of reading a couple books at night with your kids, eat dinner as a family, and then when they're older, get their homework started right away. Those are probably the 3 golden rules to getting your act together.
You know, when Ellie was, Ellie's my middle child, and she was, I want to say 2 years old. You know, we were reading to her every night prior to that, her being 2, but you know, her reading, her vocabulary, everything just skyrocketed. And I think it just, you know, it goes hand in hand with just talking to them, reading to them, getting them exposed to all those, you know, vocabulary and language and stuff. I think it's great.
This is an interesting thing that I read about, and I don't know if this is, you know, maybe 5 years from now we'll tell, or we'll even read about the experts and they'll tell us how terrible we are. But I remember reading that complimenting the hard work and not the results is kind of a good thing. But they are their own people, and you know, it's important to compliment the hard work because, you know, some kids work their butts off and they don't get amazing grades, but, you know, just that feeling of working hard is a big thing. So that's kind of something as a parent that, you know, you have to just separate yourself from your kids. And if your kid doesn't do well, it doesn't mean that, you know, you're a bad human being. You have to just kind of help your kids kind of be the best they can.
Oh, absolutely. That's a big thing, like in our family, is that we always say, like, you know, did you try your best? Did you study like what you could do? You do extra helps, you ask for help, you know, and the grade is the grade, you know, and that means that maybe that was a tougher topic. So like we always try to compliment, like, the focus on the effort and not so much the grade. Even though the grade is nice to see, can't lie. But, you know, we do try to do that, you know, and they always say, like, not to compliment, like, how smart the kid is, because you don't want to make it that the kid is smart.
Or the value is only on that.
Right. Or like, because like if they're always naturally smart and they hit something that's hard, then it's like, oh, I'm not smart anymore. So you want to compliment always the effort.
I like that.
I know. Something I keep trying to make sure
It's a little reminder
I practice,
in the moment.
Yes.
And, you know, I think that probably speaks to our number 7 of no one knows your kids better than you. So I think you have to get comfortable in, and this is hard. I will say it. It doesn't mean that, you know, the people that you interact with, family members, this, that, and the other, are, you know, they don't have the best intentions in mind, but you have to get comfortable in telling parents, in-laws, the word no, and draw boundaries. You need to speak up, especially for your partner's mental health. This even pertains to your child in schooling. If something doesn't feel right, it is your job to say something.
And I think that's also like, I would say a tough part of being like a new parent is like, now you realize you have this little person that you have to be sort of a spokesperson or a guardian for, you know, and you have to, you know, in the beginning, fight some of their battles for them, but then also teach them how to fight their own battles. And, you know, it could be tough. Like, you know, when you encounter your in-laws or your own mother, you know, overstepping their boundaries, and it's like, how do I approach this? This is my mother. This is my in-laws, you know, and you just kind of have to put the foot down and say, hey, it's my time now.
Yeah,
you know?
No, that's well said. I mean, you know, it's you're speaking up for your little ones. You gotta. It's hard. It's hard to be, you know, they're uncomfortable for them.
I think we had that kind of experience. You know, it wasn't meant like as a bad thing, but I think my in-laws would always jump in and, you know, kind of try to be like jumping and telling our kids like what they shouldn't do, what they can do, and, you know, almost like an additional voice in terms of like, you know, that's your job. You're the parent. So, you know, it's sometimes you have to say, no, we appreciate you. You raised 2 awesome kids, like my wife, and, you know, don't worry about it. This is our time to take care of this. You don't need to do that. And I think that's like a nice way of saying it, because I think it could come across kind of angry, but, you know, as a parent, you don't want that to happen, but, you know, you care about your in-laws and your parents, but, you know, you have to set some boundaries, and that's probably kind of important.
Right. And that's kind of what I like about this show too. It's like, you know, when we have our friends or whoever listens to our show, it's like, hey, you know, we're all going through this. I'm sure you've gone through this. I'm sure they've gone through this. We're probably all going through this, and we don't realize it. You know?
Probably very true. I remember when we first moved in the house, it was like, you know, it's. I'm sure they're in the same boat. I mean, they see their own child. My parents see me, and they're probably like, let's tell them what to do. Of
course.
And like, I mean, I don't know how you guys know me. The moment someone tells me what to do, I'm like, what? Hold on a second. But, I love my parents. Okay, so moving on. This is an interesting one. So I'm not sure how to say it. I don't want to preface this by telling people like there's one way to do things or one wrong way to do things, whatever else. I don't believe that. But I think that, when you first have your kid, this is probably a big one, is that in the hospital, it doesn't matter, breastfeeding, bottle feeding, formula, who cares? The most important thing is that you are bonding with your child and feeling happy and comfortable. That goes before everything. So you have to do what makes you feel good. Not what people try to convince you. You speak with your partner. You talk about it. You see what you're comfortable with. And, while we're at it, jack everything from that baby cart. It doesn't matter if it's a Vaseline, the diapers, the wipes. You just grab it all. You throw it in your bag because when you get home, it is quite confusing.
So 2 things I'd like to say to this. One, Mike, since you found out this miracle hack right here, you were the one that told me when I had my kids, make sure you raid that cart from the hospital, man.
Right.
That's what you need to do. And that was like the best advice I've ever gotten, is raid the cart, because those newborn diapers, you have so many, you don't even need so many because they get through those real quick, right?
Oh, totally. Like, I think that like Jacob was so big that like he wasn't even in the size 1 diapers. It was like ridiculous. Yeah. And then like, I know. And like in the back of your mind, you're hearing like Jane's Addiction been caught stealing as you're like jacking everything. And it's like ridiculous because you're just like, do. Like, whatever. It's fine. It's like, they're all like promotional things anyway.
No, they tell you to. The nurses like pack all that stuff for like us or whatever. They do are like, here, take it all.
And while you're at it, this is something kind of wild too, is like, it's not really, there's like some gray area. The nurses, and they don't mean anything bad by this, but it's kind of become standard that the nurses don't really, not because they don't want to, but they're not really supposed to help you. Getting your child into the car seat is probably like a legal reason why. So sometimes if you find like a veteran nurse that's on the floor, sometimes they'll kind of give you some insider tips and just kind of help you through the process of, the little things. Like when you have a baby, I mean, this is, this show is for all kinds of ages, of course. But, I think I always tell people, because this is how I felt when we were in the hospital and we don't know anything. I mean, like, it was like, oh my God, by the time you leave the hospital, like, because you're probably asking for help and learning things, like, certain things, like how to change a diaper, how to clean the baby, how to give them a bath, how to get their wobbly head into their clothes. Like you will understand these things, how to do. It's not like the kind of thing where like
you know how to butter the
diapers, baby.
Butter the diapers. I love that.
You gotta sit on the couch at night and you gotta grab a stack of diapers. You gotta grab your Vaseline. You layer it on a little butter, close them up, make a pile, so you are ready to go for the next day. And then you get fold your paper towels. Then you get those ready. We know.
Oh, you guys are so organized.
I think
that would save me some time.
If my wife listens to this podcast, you will know that I am not the reason why.
And I am not the organized one for sure.
Sarah D,
things on.
You got to see right through the truth, right? So,
but I did want to mention too, going back to what you said before, that second thing is bonding. And I don't know if you had this experience, Mike, but I think Sarah may have had this experience, but when the baby, my last child was a C-section, so they couldn't put the child on my wife. So I was able to do skin to skin with my last child.
No way.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool.
I love that. 'Cause you're such a like big bear, teddy bear dude. I love you, man. That's awesome.
That's so sweet. I love it.
So, I always say like, the last child is, because we just, we initially had that first bond, whereas she was usually, the other two kind of had it with my wife first. So it was kind of cool.
That's nice. Now she likes you more.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's my favorite. No, I love you all the same. I'm just kidding.
Love you all the same.
So wild, right? It's funny. My wife, I don't know how this started, but she sang Skidamarinky Dinky Dink to like all 3 kids as like the first thing she sang to them. Which is so funny. Like, I don't know how that thing started, but so I actually made her for one anniversary, got like a print of like the some of the words from the song, whatever, and it's hanging in our dining room.
adorable.
Isn't that funny?
That's
like the
awesome.
things that like
So good,
just
the
become like a
presents.
weird. I know. Ooh, yeah. Right. But the things that you do that just become like like these little traditions. You don't even think about it. It's so funny. I'm sure my kids are gonna be like rolling their eyes someday and be like, "Don't you sing that song to me?" Let's see. Here's another one. Number 9. If your partner gave birth, it is pretty much your job to be the crazy protective one, because in most circumstances, especially for women just give birth, they basically just had surgery. It doesn't matter if they had a C-section or if they gave birth naturally. That is basically surgery for them. And your partner needs time to heal. They don't need time for the nonsense. And half the time, it's how unfair it is for the sexes when the husband or the man, if you have a relationship with a male, usually the husband is like, they just get a pass and they're like, oh, that's so cute. They're just being the protective husband. But it really is a good thing to do, because you need to get some, give some space for your spouse or your partner to to chill and to just get their head wrapped around things, because there's a lot going on. So I think that is a good thing to do.
Yes, that's definitely a good thing to do. Because as much as everyone wants to visit and everything like that, you do need like a little time to like heal and spend time with the baby and yourself and just figure out everything else that's kind of going on.
Was Jean like super protective? Like when we first had, I remember with Jacob, they had they have to like prick the baby's heel for like Billy Rubens, whatever. Like they had to check their blood. Like, I mean, it was crazy. Like I almost came unglued. I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? They're going to cut him.
Get away from my child.
Yes.
Jean does not like blood to begin with. So anytime they did anything to the baby, he was like, what are they doing? Why is this necessary? I'm like, they have to do it, babe. It's okay.
What are you doing?
He's like, oh, I'm going to faint. I'm like, okay.
Oh yeah, that's standard issue too. They that whole thing. We're not going to go. There's some things that we'll talk about. We're not going to go there. So you'll see. So what else? This is a big one, and I don't know. It's funny as we look at this list. Some of this is like things that people don't tell you. Some of this is like here's unmitigated advice, or unsolicited advice for you rather. I don't know why it's unmitigated. One thing that's super important, and I think people lose track of this, is because when you're dating and you're together and this, that, and the other, it's different than when you have a kid. And something that I have found is to be very true, hopefully you figure this out before it's not too late, is me time is super duper flippin' important. You can't be a good we without setting some time for me or for yourself. You're going to be a better parent. You're going to be more grounded if you just give yourself some time for some hobbies and interests. It doesn't mean you're going to go away for a week. But, if you need to wake up a little bit early, watch some TV, hang out with some friends occasionally, make some time for you. Don't lose yourself in all of this as no longer a individual in a relationship, in a family. You need to have some stuff for you. And that's super important.
Oh, my God, that's so important. For the mamas and for those who have children, you have to have your own time, because it's so easy to get lost in like all their activities, all the things that they need. And you definitely... I like that. There's, what do you say? Like this to be a better we. There has to be
you'd be a better we if you take care of me.
I love it.
Oh man, that sounds like
that should be like that should be a coffee cup right there.
Cool,
I like it.
I like that.
I know.
I like that.
My wife will be like, "What the heck does me before we mean?"
But no, it's true.
But it's true, and sometimes like initially, it's really really so tiring to force yourself to like just have a social life and do stuff. But like, go meet a friend for a coffee. Just get out of your house for a half an hour, for 20 minutes.
And
just
it's gonna be
walk.
Okay.
It is
healthy. It's gonna be okay. Everyone's gonna be okay.
As important it is for time for yourself, I think it's also important time for each other too, because you get lost in like, doing the battle every day of like doing the diaper, going to karate class, going to whatever you got to do for your children, that you forget that you guys are partners too, and that you were boyfriend and girlfriend once, that you were engaged once, and that you gotta you just gotta never stop dating your wife too, right? Or your husband or your partner, so don't forget that too.
You made me think of two things, but the first thing was that initially I remember being very nervous having the baby by myself. Like it was almost like a panic attack.
Oh yeah.
And my wife just stepping outside for a little bit, and just me having that understanding that I could do this, I could take care of this. It sounds silly now, even thinking back on it, but like there was that fear, that I was like going to somehow break the baby, but I think that you need to have that confidence growth. And sometimes you're just not going to get that if you're constantly, as a duo. It's not to say that it isn't nice to have two people in a room, but you kind of need to have that, as well. And I think that definitely helps.
Yeah, totally.
The fear. So not only does it help to have some me time and some we time, but you also have to remember that when it's all said and done, and you are splitting up and taking care of things and taking turns, that you set aside in the evening or at some point to connect and have a little time with your spouse, because that's also to remember. I like, Mike, the way you put that: never stop dating your wife or your spouse or your partner, because sometimes you there's days where you're not really spending a lot of time together, and then you look at each other, a weekend comes and you're like, man, how you doing? It's been a bit.
Yeah. Well, the best is like when you guys are together and it's like, oh, did you see that episode of Peppa Pig? Like, what was that all about?
I know, and you're like singing in the car, super simple songs.
Yeah.
And you're like, I remember a time where I used to listen to Fish and Led Zeppelin.
Did we listen to the radio? Did we listen to music at one point in our life? Because
I love the Frozen soundtrack. Let's listen to that again.
I think I hear Bluey. I don't know, dude.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that, man.
Right.
Let's see what else. Lastly, and this is kind of maybe important, and maybe most important of all, is love. Hug your kids, tell them why they're unique and why they matter to you, and most of all, tell them the magic words, I love you, because that is probably one of the most important things of all. I love you guys.
Absolutely. Aww.
Love you, man. I love you.
Big hug. All right. So while you heard the diatribe of the things that maybe we think are possibly the things that people don't really tell you about, there is probably a whole lot more. But speaking of that, we'd love to hear from you. So if you have questions or comments for us, a topic, an idea, a parenting story, a fail that you experienced, or something that we mentioned on the show, you can contact us. But maybe even other than that, you could even tell us about an upcoming birthday for your kiddo, and maybe you want us to mention it on our podcast. Aside from that, there are a few ways to get in touch with us. One, can you tell I haven't podcasted in a while? Here we go. One, you can leave a message on our voicemail line. If you call us on this number, we will not pick up. You will leave a message and we will get it, I promise. The phone number is 559-375-KIDS. Those of you who are a child of the 80s and 90s, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You look at the dial, the letters are there. If not, it's 559-537-5437. Not as easy to remember when you say the numbers. And lastly, if you want to go French, it's 559-LES-KIDS, LESKIDS. If you're feeling fancy and you want to get a little French on. So, two, you could email us at heyotherparents@gmail.com. A little tip, keep it short, keep it weird, and we will most likely read it on the show. We will not likely get to everyone, but we will try to keep emails close by when we get to a related topic. Lastly, you can join our Instagram, our Threads, our Twitter. It's all the same at heyotherparents. We'll try to keep you up to date with shows, infos, polls, and more. If you have questionable parenting moments, please take a picture. And if it's appropriate, we might just have to include it on our feed. So the last part of our show, or I should say the second part of our show, is getting the kids in bed. So the second segment of the show is called Show and Tell. Maybe we'll come up with a better name as time goes on. The idea is that each of us gets to bring one thing to talk about. That thing could be a show, a book, a recipe. It could really be just about anything. The only restriction is that it's one thing that we each bring by our choice to our show. So Sarah, why don't you start us off? What is the thing that you were bringing this week?
Okay, so my daughter, she loves the TikTok, sends me the TikTok recipes. Mom, can you make this? Mom, can you make that? So we've been trying Marry Me Chicken. Oh my God, it is so good that really I just want to call it Everyone Eats Tonight, because with a family of like 4 or 5, it is so hard to make everyone eat one gosh darn meal.
Truth.
And this is such a good recipe, and you got some veggies in it and some fanciness, like adult taste. Like, so really it's you just TikTok any Marry Me Chicken recipe. They're all pretty much the same. quickly, it's just some chicken, salt, pepper, butter, onions, Parmesan, Italian seasoning, chicken broth, dried tomatoes, which for me, I was like, these kids are not going to eat this. And cream and spinach. You just mix it all together. It gets really good. Put over some pasta. Everyone eats it.
Really?
That sounds
yes,
yummy.
It's a home run.
And those are sun-dried tomatoes?
Yeah, sun-dried tomatoes.
Ooh, I like those, like tart, so nice.
Yeah, no,
a little moment of food and fury.
I know, a little moment, but oh man, it is so good. Everyone eats it.
Oh, I love it.
Very nice, very
Mike,
nice.
what do you got going on?
So what I got going on for you for my show and tell today is, you guessed it, a lightsaber. Now I brought this lightsaber, all right, and you might think, oh, why does Mike have a $200 piece of plastic that he got from Disney World? Well, the reason why is because it reminds me to be a kid with my kids, and I really love bringing out the lightsabers, and I give each of my kids a lightsaber, and we have like a 3-way lightsaber battle. And yes, believe it or not, we've hit a couple of arms or fingers, and people got a little upset. But all in all, my kids love it, and they love that I'm a kid with them. So it's kind of just like 4 kids battling with lightsabers, and I would say never stop being a kid with a $200 piece of plastic. Although my wife would not agree.
Well, when in doubt, do a podcast.
Me bringing yes.
It is necessary.
Well, I mean, like since you're kind of tall, do you always tell them that you have the high ground?
Oh, all the time. I have the high ground, and then I take them all out, and they're like, "Daddy."
Like, you have to learn, kids.
I know. I think actually my middle child once said, "Daddy, you always win." I'm like, heck yes.
Now you're understanding it. Oh man, that is out of control. All right, we'll have to follow up more on the lightsaber situation with you, because I think there's many more stories to be told.
Yeah.
So my thing this week I am bringing is a little bit of a wacky game. So I think I found out about it once because I think, Sarah, we were talking about Julian and his trombone situation and all that stuff with music. You guys remember Guitar Hero, right? Or Rock Band, whatever else from the 90s, where
That
you
was
had
legit.
the plastic guitar and you played like, Barracuda or whatever songs there were. And then you played a little plastic clicky, clicky, clacky. And then you played the songs. Then people got really good. And you were like, this is fun. So now they came along, and a little bit of like a spoof, tongue in cheek, this company developed this game called Trombone Champ. I keep wanting to call it Trombone Hero. So it is basically like a spoof on Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and you take the Switch controllers, and you could play it either like, extending it out from yourself, because there's like a little bit of like a infrared camera in there, so you could actually move your hand and it sees your hand, or you could just tilt
that's
it.
cool.
And what's funny about it is like, it follows the same format where like there's like, little lines coming in on the screen, and you have to like hit it at the right spot. So you're basically extending your arm or raising it down, and then like it'll go to the right spot, and you press the button. It's like, "Rrr," and it is hysterical because there's no way that you're going to hit the notes exactly right. And the background music is all accurate, but like you're playing like the main part of the music. So like, it's just like we were playing like, like Happy Birthday to You. There was like some ska song. There was like, like Beethoven's Fifth. The music's all over the place. But we actually had some friends over last night, and one of them is actually a music teacher, so it was just even better having us all pass the controller around and playing ourselves some Trombone Champ. So it's for PC also, but I think the Switch is the way to go, because you have like those controllers that you can take apart and use them. So it is a super duper new game, family rotation game that we are absolutely going to play for a while. But I think that is actually going to do it for this episode, right? If you like what you heard here, if you have the feelings that among all these wacky conversations that you hear a show that you might listen to again, leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Search for the show, scroll down to the bottom, find ratings and reviews, and if you leave us a review, we might just read it on the show. So that's going to do for this episode. I think we are out of time, so we're going to wrap it up. Our debut episode of Hey Other Parents. We'd like to take a moment to thank our listeners and our Patreons for donating to the show. We can't wait to explore this parenting thing again next week on Hey Other Parents, because it's the 3 of us and all of you. Don't forget to hug your kids and charge your Chromebooks. That's going to do it for me, for Sarah, for Mike. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Hey Other Parents is produced by Mike Levine, Sara Desravines, and me, Michael Heit. I edit and mix our show. If you like our show, we hope you will consider going to patreon.com/heyotherparents and consider becoming a member. Doing so supports us and gives you access to an exclusive Hey Other Parents episodes each month. Find us online at Instagram at heyotherparents or send us an email at heyotherparents@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.